So hey guys, today we're going to be talking about the XYZ Cup, and I'll be very clear and concise here. This is probably the actual worst extra deck type you could have picked for this kind of event. The second worst being Fusion, of course. If we're talking about like pure summoning mechanics, the best one would probably have to be like a Link one and like a Link Cup and Synchro Cup. I think is not that great either. But it would be like a little bit better than either. Well, kind of depends, honestly. The main issue with specifically a synchro, kind of like a competitive synchro only, is that the going first player is too favored because of how strong like synchro boards are and how like you wouldn't have that many good tools as a synchro deck to break through a synchro board. So I don't think that would be a very fun format. I think Link is probably the most fair unless you start taking into account Cyburst, which you would have to butcher to even make it like kind of fair for every like other decks. So the ban list actually is not adjusted, of course, so that's another kind of flaw with this type of event. But yeah, let me go over some of the primary issues. So if we just go with, if we look at just extra deck cards in general, so this is the starting point. Uh, well, XYZ extra deck, they're in general not that great, right? And in terms of like uh board making, you don't have that many good options. One of the primary reasons that XYZ would be a lot better on ladder is that other deck types exist, which allows you to get away with playing XYZ more. Like, if there are only XYZs, then evenly matched is very hard to stop with, like, just XYZ cards in general. If you just get hit by an evenly matched, you're just going to get cooked, like, straight up, like, 9 out of 10 times. In, like, 9 out of 10 XYZ decks, just, yeah. Not a whole lot more we need to say here. Just for example, though, well, we'll go over a few. So if we have Kishtira here, you're not completely fleeced because you have Arise Heart and you can just choose to keep Arise Heart, but problem. Aside from like the banish one on Arise Heart, this Arise Heart is not that big of a deal. So if you have just like one extender, you'll probably win, like straight up, one way or another. Yeah, you'll probably win. So there's also the idea of Typhon being in XYZ, so if you can just summon like another monster after a monster gets banished even, then you can just Typhon, bounce back the like Arisar, and then just sit on the Typhon and then maybe do your play next turn. Because Kishtira doesn't have that many like good cards to top deck. In fact, like all of these are dead. And if you got even lead, chances are like Birth is dead as well. So that's 6 dead cards and your only live draw is probably like a one of unicorn or something after an evenly, so that's not great. And if we look at Exosister, pretty plainly, the Exosister XYZs, they only have their effects the turn they are summoned. So if we sit on like a Michaelis would have been summoned the last turn and have no effect. So if you drop the evenly matched as well, then your opponent would not be able to activate Returnia because they don't control an Exosister monster, so Exosister gets completely washed. So if you keep this, you're screwed. If you keep this, you're screwed, right? That doesn't really matter what Exosister endboard they really have, because not a single Exosister card is activatable after like an evenly matched. And Pearly, at least you can keep Pearly Noir, which is something, but then you lose like my friend, and also you're probably going to get like Kaiju because you think we're running evenly by itself in like a going second going second deck. Yeah, you sure wish. So we could drop evenly, Raigeki, Kaijus, whatever. And even if you had the cards back with my friend, you're just dead. So, yep. A lot of, uh, well, pain, really. If we Kaiju, like, any of these 3 decks, I think that they're all, like, pretty pretty screwed, just in general, yeah. So if we, like, Kaiju over Rysart, Cash is dead. If we, Kaiju over Expertly Noir, uh, that this is also, like, just Dunzo as well. And then Exorcister, same deal. We just do it over the Michaelis, Magnifica, whatever. Guide you over that, and it's over. If they at least have Magnifica, I guess. they can banish one, so it's like the same thing as a Rysart, more or less. The only deck that Hishtira like super beats is something that really plays into the graveyard, which is not actually the majority of like XYZ decks in general. Like that you do sometimes use the graveyard, but it's not like required to play at all. And you also have like Zeus and Typhon, which just can completely run over a Rysart. And you can just tech in a few cash cards to make a Rysart into Zeus as well if you want to be going that route. So a lot of options here, but this is just very surface level stuff. We can actually dig a little bit deeper into like the problems with the ban list. So, just for example, though, XYZ Encore is legal. Why? There are a lot of cards like goes in as well. Why? In fact, if I really look, I'm sure like Rivalry is probably also legal, right? Oh yeah, Skill Drain, Peekaboo, probably all legal as well, right? Skill Drain. Oh, there can be only one won't show up if we type it here, honestly. So I think I have it bookmarked, so we'll go down. Legal. So, yep. I'm pretty sure every floodgate in general is just going to be legal as well. So, yeah, it's done. Great. And in fact, might as well check as well, just to be extra sure. Do we have the barrier statues? We sure do. Do we have Jaugen? Jaugen. No. Wow. I can't believe they hit Jaugen the Spiritualist, but not any of the barrier statues? Okay, we got Fossil Dino or what? Might as well check for Ib as well while here. Ibly. Or whoops. Inly. What? Who's Inly? Okay, Ibly. Okay, so they got rid of some, but for some reason they decide, we'll get rid of just like Jaugen and Ibly, I guess, but they're not getting rid of okay. Well, next big issue with like XYZ only. Let's see if this is legal. Black Garden. Oh. This card is an auto win against any XYZ deck that is not Kashira. So notably, let's assume you were playing Pearly here, alright? So if I am playing Black Garden, all I have to do is summon something with high, like 800 or higher defense, and then I just need to give you a bunch of tokens. What is the issue with this? How do you get rid of tokens? So assuming you are a Pearly player, the only thing you are allowed to have in your extra deck here is going to be XYZ monsters. Fun fact, you cannot use XYZ, or you cannot use tokens as XYZ material, so therefore you cannot XYZ summon with tokens. Okay, so how do you get rid of these tokens? The only way is to either like tribute them or crash them, so by battle or tribute summoning using the tokens. How could this be an issue? Well, you wouldn't be able to do anything. That would be the issue. So yeah, that's not a really fun thing to get hit by, and also Black Garden is at 3, huh? Yep. And if you want to like go Jama Lock, I guess you would be able to do so here now as well. So that's like another major oversight that would just slip through the cracks once again, alongside like I guess all of those floodgates, like all of the floodgate backer that we're allowed to play, all the barrier statues, and there's probably still a bunch more stuff. Like if we search this, we have Testudo, Arat, Newman. We have Newman, Arat, Testudo. So but both of these are legal. That's not exactly fun, is it? So those issues are present here as well now. I guess you just gotta deal with it. But yeah, this one is a pretty bad one, you know. Token locking your opponent so they can't play the game or take any actions at all. Yeah, that's a pretty nasty one. So the only decks I think would be able to play through this would be something like potentially we're looking at stun if they're playing Moon Mirror Shield specifically. Labyrinth, because they have like some high level labyrinths cards that they can tribute summon with. And then after that we have uh Kashtira, because you tribute summon your cash monsters. But you don't have enough zones to do anything like significant, I don't think, really. Even worse, if you can give them a token after they special summon a guy, they still don't have play. So like, let's assume we do like normal summon, Kashtira Unicorn. Try add Theosis. Add Theosis is okay. I like activate. Let's assume it's actually a mirror. And I just activate like prep summoning like Rysart even, and then that will give my opponent a token. And now they have like this case, since we'd be doing it through Black Garden, that would be halving the this would be halving the attack on the Kashtira Unicorn. So this would be 1,000, or no, would it be 1,000? Yeah, 1,250 attack Kashtira Unicorn, which can't beat over like pretty much anything aside from like maybe Kashtira Ogre in defense, or Tilman's Kashtira in defense, which won't really matter. It definitely doesn't beat over Kashtira Rysart, I'll tell you that much. So yeah, every single lower level XYZ strategy though, they just suffer because of this. You can just token your opponent and then I don't know, just do whatever. And you can just summon all your guys in defense because the defense is not held, and then they can never get over your guys, like with the token. So you just lock your opponent out and just do something goofy, like I don't know, mill them out or something slowly with, let's say Tier Cash for example. If I want to just loop this, pretty doable. Not necessarily for this build, but just in general, it's like something you could do for whatever reason. So, that sucks. So the primary issues here that I have is that first off, the XYZ just well, XYZ cards in general, not doing so hot right now, I'd say, you know? They're not so great when they're all you have to work with. And that like applies with the token stuff as well, which also kind of like hurts. And then the main deck strategies that just don't use extra deck at all, those are actually very effective into like in general XYZ, unless they can get into Zeus and activate Zeus, which is like a pretty big ask nowadays because we have like Daruma Karma Cannon, for example, and then we're just going to get cooked at that point. So not great. And also, if we try hard enough, I'm sure we can FDK, because why not? So that's just the thing, I guess. In general, not really a big fan. And while we're here, let's also talk about some other different types. So, aside from just the XYZ Cup, if we had a Fusion Cup, which we might have had before, yeah, that's pretty miserable because it's just a case of who opened Super Poly more times. That's kind of the vibe. Oh, my opponent went first and also opened Super Poly. Unwinnable game, didn't get back or removal. Oh, my opponent just had Super Poly in their hand and they can just Super Poly away my entire board because, you know, I guess part of the issue is that the best fusion decks in general are all like light and dark decks. So, would sure be a shame if your whole board got just, you know, Super Poly'd away. Yeah, not well, I would put as one of my top 10 most fun, or whatever, like just in general, uh, types of events I enjoy. Just fusion events in general usually have Super Poly, and it's miserable because Super Poly is just so sacky. That's a pretty big grievance, honestly. And then of course, like Fallen of Albaz is a card, so we have hard open Fallen of Albaz to fuse away your board. We have open fusion deployment to fuse away your board. and other things like that as well. So getting your whole board fused away is honestly just miserable when you're kind of forced into like fusion summoning. So not really a big fan of that one. And then with synchro, that then words are like too strong, so it's like going second player just gets giga shafted. So that's the issue with that. Just in general, not a good time. And then Link has the issue of Cyberse existing, and it just one card combos into like the stupidest endboard you've ever seen with a bajillion interactions. So if you were playing like a non-Cyberse deck, um you're honestly just doing worse if we're talking in terms of like your Link. You just simply have to open enough hand traps and hope those hand traps are relevant, but they're not because Mathmech Circular is a card. And let's assume we actually hand trap Mathmech Circular twice. It doesn't actually stop anything. It's kind of crazy if you think about it, right? So we activate Circular, send Sigma, special summon Sigma. All of this is like pretty much unstoppable unless you like Mistral the Sigma. That's probably your best play, honestly. And then aside from that, it would be like something like a Bell maybe. But then your opponent still has their normal summon and a billion different things they can do. And then they have access to the Golem that monster reborns, the whatever that was called. And then we have like Splash Mage, Transcode, all like somewhat generic for Cyberse to just link off into, and then just get a monster reborn, which allows you to get another monster reborn, which allows you to link climb into like an access code or terahertz, which is just kind of dumb now. So that would be through interruption. So without interruption, though, it can be, well, pretty bad, I guess. So, yeah, these type of events, I personally am not a super big fan of. If we had like Link Synchro, I think like that type of event is a lot more fun. If we're just pigeonholed into just one type, not so great. If we were at least able to use two types, it would be a lot better. And just checking, might as well. How many random, like really degenerate floodgates still exist here? Is D barrier legal? At least D barrier is not legal. That is the only saving grace, I suppose. Well, yeah, whatever. Oh wait, this card. Oh wait, it's only a monster you control. That would be a good low budget card for a second there. Well, guess not. But yeah. I just have a billion grievances with like all these events. So the meta for the XYZ Cup is going to obviously shift into just control and going second. So that's not fun to play as a combo player, you know? Like playing against those decks. Definitely not what I would enjoy. And then following that, there's just, you know, just in general, the single type extra deck events, especially if they're like more competitive like this. I don't even want to bother playing in phase 2 for this one, honestly. Yeah, it's not going to be a great time, right? You're just mostly going to be facing off against stun and stuff. So yeah, definitely not high up in my list for sure. Especially since there's like very little you can do against an evenly matched. The best play is probably just to play going second, just so you don't have to deal with like these board breakers. Just board break yourself, right? Well, not board break yourself. Like you yourself should play board breakers and just go second, right? If that makes sense. So yeah, that's all I got for you guys today, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.